G'day viewers, I'm Chris. Welcome to another episode of The Creative Space. How about we head on over to that workbench and start getting creative? I'll catch you there. Alright, here we are. Good to see you at the workbench again. So today we're going to be making some feathers, macrame feathers or leaves, and you're going to need a few bits and pieces in creating this. It's reasonably easy to do, but you will need a few things for this. So where do we begin? All right, let's start with how you're going to attach it. So today we're going to show you how to make a key chain or hanger that can be hung on a bag or for key rings, etc. You're going to need some macrame cord. I'm using a 4mm cord today. You could use yarn as well if you wanted to do that. You could even use a thicker macrame cord than the 4mm. It's really up to you what effect you want to create. So the one that I've already done, as you can see, I've attached it onto an old stick, and I'll be using that in another project with one of our crocheted owls. So you can either attach them onto key rings, onto bits of twig, however you want to create the look of your leaf. You'll need a ruler, a brush. Now I've got a pet brush. It's as you can see, it's been used a bit for this, so it's good because you're going to be using both the wire side as well as the brush side to do this. So it's good having the one brush with both bits on. And I think that's about all. Of course, I've used a paper template to help with shaping the leaf. You don't, of course, need that. You can do it all by eye if you can get it nice and even. And of course, scissors. Helps if you have a really good sharp pair of scissors because it gets a bit tough cutting this stuff at times. So that's what we're going to do. Let me clear away this bench area and we'll get underway and do the next step. All right, so what we're going to need to do is cut the lengths of cord naturally. So for this project, and it's good to make the cords a bit longer than what you actually need. That way it just gives you a bit of leeway to get the shape of your leaf right. So for this middle one, what we're going to be doing is attaching it onto our key ring. And I've cut this middle one to be 60 centimeters long. So that gives us plenty of length to play around with on that. So we need one length 60 centimeters long. Then for the shape of it, we're going to need, in this yellow one, you cut off 30 single lengths, but I only ended up using 26. So if you cut off 30, and I've made those 20 centimeters long. And as a hint that you might like to use, the way that I cut off the 20 of these was to just create a really rough old guide like this out of a bit of old timber that the CNC router really messed up. And so I've just nailed those nails in at 20 centimeters apart. You then just need to use a quick clamp like this kind of thing onto the bench, and that way you can wrap the yarn around and get them cut off really quickly rather than just individually 20 centimeters at a time. So you'll need at least, I would cut off 30 of those. So you go off and do that. So we need one 60 centimeter length and 30, 20 centimeter lengths. All right, so there we go. We've got all our bits of cord cut off. So what the knot that we're going to be using to attach all of these cords is called a lark's head knot, which is simply, I'll show you what we're going to do with this ring. We simply fold the cord in half. We then put that loop through the key ring like so. And then all we simply do is grab the tail of the cord and pull it back through that loop. And we pull tight. And that then gives us our lark's head knot. So that's pretty simple. I'll just do that quickly again, just to show you. So we have the cord in half, fairly even. We then stick the loop of that through the loop on that, or if it's on a twig or whatever, we wrap it around what we're wanting to put the knot on. We then just, if you're holding the cord like that, just put your fingers up through that loop, grab the tail, and then pull it through. And pull it nice and tight. And there you have it. That is a lark's head. So we're going to be using that knot all as we're attaching these shorter bits all down the length of that. Now, the other thing that you'll probably need is some kind of way to stop this from moving about. And probably the best way is to get some tape. I'll be using some good old cloth tape, or gaffer tape it's called. And I'm just going to rip some of that off just to stop the cord from twisting around while we're putting the cord along the spine. So I'm going to put the leaf underneath it so that I can keep an eye on the size and everything. And I'll tape that down onto the board. And then with this one, depending on where you want the leaf to sit. So I'm going to have the leaf kind of starting from there. So I'll just tape it down onto there. Now I like using cloth tape because it doesn't, I mean it's sticky, but it doesn't normally leave residue on your workbench or anything. So we've got it reasonably, you don't want it too tight because you still need to get the cord underneath, but there we are, we have it all set up. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to simply, the process now is to fold each one of these in half, like so. And then we're going to go in from the left-hand side and put that underneath the cord, like so. With our next one, we're going to come in from the right-hand side. And so that one will come in, but what we're going to do is put it in under this loop. So we're going to put it in underneath that one. And then we're going to get the tails from this one and bring it up through that loop. Now this knot, it's kind of a lark's head, but it's also kind of a reef knot kind of finish. So we're going to pull that as tight as we can and then just move that up to where we want the top of the leaf to be like so. Let's do that again. So we form a loop like so. We place that underneath the spine of the leaf like so. So we come in from the left hand side. This one we fold, and we're doing this from the right hand side, but we come underneath this loop, underneath that one, and pull that through like so. And then we're going to grab the tail of the cord underneath and pull that through that loop. And then we're just simply going to pull on either end of those and pull in as tight as we can. And then we push that up to there. And there's our first 4 cords done. So I'm going to speed this up because, you know, it's far easier. But you pause this video where you need to, and we'll come back when this is all done. Have fun doing all these knots. So there we have it. We've done our leaf. Now, remembering when we get to the bottom here, it's going to be shaped in. So you've got to kind of think that the shape of the cord is going to be something like that. So you don't need to come down too far here, because this center cord then forms that bottom knot kind of down in there. All right, let's remove the tape off of here. Now, I also forgot to say that the leaf that we're doing today measures about 15 centimeters from top to bottom, and I think, what was it across? About 8.5, 9 centimeters across that way. So this template, I'll have a link to it at the bottom in the description if you want to use that one. Of course, as I said, you can do it freehand, shape your leaf without a template. I just like using a template because it then gives you an idea of how much you need to tie, etc., and how, like the lengths of your yarn and everything. But in saying that, you'll notice that the one that I've done previous, you know, I still have made the leaf bigger anyway. So this is really only a guide to kind of shape your leaf so it kind of looks even both sides. Let's do our next stage. Now this one, I've seen people do it differently. Some get like a wide tooth comb and comb out all the cord. However, I find it may take a bit longer, but the effect is kind of better, or it's easier to brush it out. I prefer to go along and untwist each of these cords. Yes, it does take a longer time, but yeah, it just makes it far easier to brush it out when you get to that stage. So now I'm not going to bore you by showing you me unraveling all of these. So I'll fast forward this part and show you bits and pieces of it, and I'll catch you at the end. So if you're up to this spot as well, pause the video and start unraveling your cords. And there we have it, finally done. It's all now untwisted, ready for brushing out. But before I do that, what I like to do is just put a spot of super glue at the top and the bottom on here so that it stops the feathers or the cord from pulling off when we start to brush it out. So I'll just, I'm unfortunately out of super glue at the moment, but I do have some clear resin that UV resin that you may have seen in a previous clip, and I'm going to use that to glue it on with. And there we go. So that will just stop it from slipping up and down on the spine, and we'll give it a good a firm basis. Now, the next step is to brush it out, and what we're going to do is start with the wire side of the brush rather than the finer one. So we're just brushing them out so that it gets all the twists and stuff out. Alright, so we have our leaf all brushed out like so. Now we're going to get the finer brush and we're going to brush it a bit more to even make it more fluffier. And now again with the wire side, we just want to brush that out to give us our shape. And we just grab our template to put over the top and we stick that down the center. So as you can see, we've got quite a lot to cut off, but this is up to you how big or small that you want your leaf and what you're doing with it, etc. So even though I put this on a key ring, the leaf is probably going to be a bit too big for that, but it can be used to hang it up elsewhere. So with your scissors, I would initially cut out a reasonable distance from the leaf. Don't go in all at once and cut it straight to that shape. What you want to do is just start out a bit like about out here and cut that off. See what it looks like, brush it out, and then if you still want more off, then take a bit more off, rather than cutting the whole lot all off at once. So let's get our scissors. So if we take our template off and we just brush this out a bit, we'll get an idea of how it's looking, and then we can start trimming it up a bit more. It's a bit wonky on this side, so what I'll do is I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to cut it around on there. So let's cut a bit more off of it and see how we go. we go. Our macrame cord leaves, or feathers, whichever term you would prefer to call them. Well, unfortunately, that's another episode of The Creative Space done and dusted. If you've enjoyed this one, then please ring that bell so you get notified of new content. Subscribe to the channel, really appreciate that as well. Share this with your friends, comment below. We'd love any feedback that you might give us of future projects and things that we can put on the show. So until next time, remember that every day is a good day to be creative. See ya.